What is likely the single most important statistic you should be paying attention to during your children's doctor visit, and why is it so crucial? What steps can you take right now to protect the ones that you love? We're discussing all this and more on this episode of White Coat Wisdom. Let's get started. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification bell. We're just getting started, and your support really helps us keep making these videos. And if you find some information to be useful, please share this video with a close friend or family member, or with someone who cares about their health as much as you do. All right, let's get on to it. Most parents already come into their children's well visits curious about the height and weight measurements for their kids. This is for good reason. There's a sense of pride in seeing how much their children have grown over time, and it's exciting to know that they're thriving. But there's another reason for parents to know their children's weights, a more important and pragmatic one that has to do with things like medication, therapeutic, and toxicity ranges. Every parameter that's assessed during a medical visit is important, of course. During a well-child exam, the typical array of measurements includes the child's vision and hearing, blood pressure, respiratory rate and heart rate, and height. Oftentimes, growing adolescents are very keen on their height measurements. They really want to know how much taller they've stretched since the last time they were measured. Kids tend to feel especially satisfied when they're catching up in height to their parents or to an older sibling. But without question for young kids, a child's weight is the single most important measurement taken during a medical exam, and it's not even close. Parents should always have at least a rough idea of how much their children weigh. Here's the reason why. Many pediatric dosages are based on the child's weight. This includes prescription and over-the-counter medications. It's important to note that each medicine has its own therapeutic range, as well as its own toxic range. The therapeutic range represents the dosage at which the medicine is expected to be present in the body at levels sufficient to yield effective bioactivity. Basically, the dosage is appropriate such that the medicine will act how it's supposed to act. This is what we want whenever a prescriber prescribes medicine and a caretaker delivers the medicine. A subtherapeutic dose, which is a dosage that does not meet the minimum threshold of the therapeutic range, would be suboptimal. The medicine would likely be ineffective, either partially or completely, which then could have detrimental consequences. These can include progression of the targeted disease process, erosion of the provider-patient relationship, and unnecessary exposure for the patient to further medical intervention. The toxic range, on the other hand, represents dosages at which the medicine is expected to reach levels in the body that may cause harmful or undesirable effects. This can result from a medication dosage that is too high for the intended recipient, therefore overshooting the therapeutic range. This is especially important when you consider the previous point that many pediatric medication dosages are based on your child's weight. If a weight is incorrectly measured or recorded, and then a medicine dosage is calculated based on that incorrect weight, the results could be disastrous. Parents and providers can often agree that the approach to medicines should generally be from a standpoint of minimization or avoidance whenever possible. After all, one of the most important tenets of medicine is primum non nocere, or first, do no harm. The technical term for this principle is non-maleficence. Non-maleficence is the obligation of a physician or other healthcare provider in a similar role not to harm the patient. The potential benefit of any intervention must be carefully weighed against the intervention's potential risks for injury. Use of medicines in children in particular should be employed judiciously. We don't ever want to give children medications at dosages that will put them at risk of being in the toxic range of the medicine. This is where accurately getting a child's weight becomes so crucial. Weights can be incorrectly input into a patient's medical chart through several possible pitfalls. Measurement equipment could malfunction, including a weight scale breaking down or not being routinely calibrated. On the other hand, a medical assistant or nurse could make a technical error, either during the weight measurement process or during subsequent transcription of the information. Sometimes, medical devices yield weights in different metric systems, such as kilograms and pounds. An assistant could accurately measure a child's weight in one unit at the scale, but then inadvertently transcribe the weight in a different unit in the child's medical chart. Unfortunately, this happens more frequently than you might think. So then, what can you do right now as a parent to help ensure that mistakes like this don't happen to your child? Several things. Number 1. Know your child's recent weight. Ideally for young children, families should walk into their office visits already with an expectation of what the child's weight should look like, or what it was during the previous visit. This serves as a form of positive redundancy. Do not simply assume that the medical staff are recording correct weight measurements for your child. Pay close attention to whether your child's current weight falls in line with prior measurements. If there is any inconsistency, don't just let it go. Ask for clarification on the matter, or perhaps ask for your child to be weighed again. If the measurer seems unreliable, you can ask for a different office staff member to measure the weight, independent of the first one. Number 2. Be mindful of your child's growth chart. If you're at the office for a well visit, the physician will usually go over your child's growth chart with you automatically. But if the provider does not bring it up, it might be a good idea to ask to go over the growth chart together at each visit. The reason for this is because clinical growth charts provide graphical depictions of height and weight data points over time, and they can therefore be highly effective in readily showing any failures in measurement or transcription accuracy. Let's take a look at some sample growth charts to illustrate how growth charts can be helpful. This is an example of a growth chart that is consistent with good, reliable, and accurate weight measurements. You can see that the child's weight, as reflected by the red line, closely follows its weight curve. This is what we want to see. This infant weight curve shows an error in the weight value, one that likely occurred when the staff member was transcribing the baby's weight into the medical chart. You can see that the infant's weight was initially following its curve. But then, the most recent value reflects a significant departure. In this example, the error occurred when the medical assistant measured the baby as 17 pounds. But then incorrectly input the infant's weight in the medical chart as 17 kilograms. The weight curve for this petite child displays a past error that was left uncorrected. You can see that the erroneous weight value was recorded at 4 years of age, after which the red line returned to closely follow its previously established curve. In this example, the mistake occurred when the transcriber accidentally tapped 4 twice at the end, inadvertently recording 24 pounds as 244 pounds. Parents, in many cases, it is actually more important that you are cognizant of your children's most up-to-date weights during sick visits, as opposed to well visits. This is because when you're at the office for a sick visit, the focus of the visit is often on other, more pressing issues, like a high fever or an ongoing cough. Growth curves are usually not discussed during sick visits like these, unless you ask for it. Remember, not having a built-in system for positive redundancy, like the growth chart, allows for weight discrepancies to be missed. Can you imagine having your child accidentally overdosed on a medicine because of a simple typographical or clerical error? This point cannot be overstated. Always verify that your provider has an accurate weight for your child whenever medicine is prescribed. Either know your child's weight going into the visit and reconcile it with the office's current measurement, or ask to see the weight growth chart at every visit. Even one mistake related to a circumstance of this nature is one too many. These types of mistakes should never be allowed to happen. If you found this episode helpful, check out our other videos packed with real-world clinical insights. And if you haven't already, click here to check out our previous video that covers all the potential hidden dangers of a medical office that you should be trying to avoid. We're board-certified medical providers with over 30 years of combined experience, sharing the pearls, caveats, and hard-won lessons that only come from caring for real people, not just studying the books. Thanks for joining us here at White Coat Wisdom, where clinical experience meets everyday life. If you found today's insights helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who cares about their health as much as you do. Your support helps us keep bringing trusted, real-world medical guidance straight to you. See you in the next one. Until next time, everyone stay safe and stay healthy.